Welcome to High Tea with Me, with your host, Katrina Brittingham. You brought your favorite beverage, and she brought the career advice. Now sit back and relax while you get advice that will take you to the next destination in your career or business. And now, Katrina Brittingham.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Katrina Brittingham, your navigator on your road to success. Whether you are in business or for yourself, or whether you work for corporate or work for someone else, I help you with advice that'll help you be successful. And so, in this series, we're starting the new year, is about keeping your goals and or New Year's resolutions for 2020 and beyond. As many times as you know, before we even get out of the month of January or February, even the first quarter of the year, most of those things kind of fall by the wayside. My goal is to have you keep those goals so you can continue to grow and present. So you can continue to grow and progress. Little tongue tie there. So what I would say is, number one thing you need to be open to, whether you're in business or whether you work for someone else and you have a job and you have a career, to be successful and to move on is to be open to opportunities. And so someone like myself, I've always kind of looked at opportunities that presented themselves to me. Sometimes I was afraid to go into those opportunities, but I learned when I started to embrace growth opportunities that will allow me to spread out and to stretch myself, I wound up having more success. I learned so much stuff. So everything is not necessarily about the dollar, but sometimes if you take the opportunity to learn what you need to learn, it can lead to that prosperity down the road. So be open to those opportunities. Always have yourself and be prepared for those opportunities. And also look out for those opportunities or things that are open doors, but might not necessarily meet what your goal is, and not just looking at the immediate goal, looking in the future, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. I've always been that person who did plan for the future. When I was 20, I was looking at 30, what I need to do to be in a place where I wanted to be at 30. When I was 30, what do I have to do to be in a place where I need to be at 40? And so now that I am over 40, I am looking at what I need to do to prepare myself for when I'm 50. And so that's what you want to do. Remember that growth opportunities actually take you out of your comfort zone. They take you out of the box that you were in. So just know that just because it's a little bit uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's not an opportunity for you. That actually may mean that you have to press a little bit more to get to where you need to be. So you want to always take on new challenges, even if you're not sure you're completely ready. And I can say for my career, when I was in corporate, when I was in business, even taking on the broadcasting network, I was not 100% sure that I was ready to take on any of those opportunities at the time I took them on. And with corporate, yes, I took my job, but when I took other higher level projects and things like that, it was overwhelming at first because I was like, oh my goodness, am I able to do it? But I found, yes, I am. And yes, you are. So yes, you are ready to take those, opportunities. So, different people have said, if a job is not scary, it's not worth doing. And that was Jasmine of Whitbread, the chief executive at London First. And that is true. If a job is not challenging to you, if it's not scary to you, and you're just going in doing the same old humdrum, it's really not worth it for you to do. And I found that for myself. When I was going in and I was doing the same job over and over, and it was comfortable, and I knew what to do, and I knew what was happening next, it got real boring. It wasn't challenging to me. And so I kind of lost my edge there. But when I stepped out into roles and projects that really scared me at first, it focused me to get done what needed to get done and allowed me to move to another level of success. Same thing with the business. When I came into business, I was not expecting to be in business. And the first thing I saw is, okay, I have this whole business. It was overwhelming. It was scary. What if I fail? What if this happens? What if that happens? But that underlining, okay, I don't know what's going on, helped motivate me to do what needed to be done. Once I got in, it was, I won't say smooth sailing, but I got done. I look back because I've been in business for over 7 years now. I look back from where I started and where I began and now, and I'm so amazed at the things that have been accomplished in the role. People who know me know I'm a spiritual person. I look and say, wow, God, you brought this to me because I know he brought the business to me. I know he brought this network to me. And when I look back and see where I was then versus where I am now, it is leaps and beyonds, far beyond what I thought that I would ever be able to accomplish on my own. Facebook has a wonderful feature that will give you on the date something that you posted a year ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And when I look back on those things, I am amazed at how far I've come, even as far as flyers, how they looked when I had to do it myself. And now that I have, professional help that does the flyers for the shows and for my business and advertisements, and how I went from advertising one way and having videos and commercials and things like that for my business is just an amazing thing. But it would never have happened if I hadn't let the fear of stepping out into the opportunities stop me from doing what I needed to do. So you want to be resilient, and that is very important in your career, if you're in corporate, and also if you're in business, because things will not always go the way you want them to go. That's just a fact of life. So you have to be able to stick to it and be resilient, and know that you're, number one, you're not competing with anybody. So stop looking at somebody else's page where they are and say, oh, I should be like this, I should be like that. No, you should be exactly where you are, but moving towards your goal, because this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And also, you're not racing against someone else. You're running to meet the prize that is for you, not for anybody else. So you want to make sure that you are resilient, that you stick to it even in the hard times. So what I had to learn also is that in resiliency is how to take criticism. Some will be constructive, some will not be constructive. But I found that when I got criticism and I started taking it in a different light and really looking at it and evaluating it, some things you have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Even if it doesn't come in the way that you like, don't get choked up on the delivery or the person who's delivering it, the person's attitude, but listen to what they have to say and take with it what you need, from it with you what you need. And when I started doing that and I started reviewing those things, and because sometimes advice will come in a pretty package and a pretty bow, and sometimes it will not. And so you have to think of things critically so you can grow in your career and so you can grow in your business. And I learned that I took hard looks at things when I was in my career, and I made some changes. And I had some tough love criticism in my career, and same thing for my business. And I had to go home, get myself together, wipe the tears from my eyes a lot of times, and really consider the advice and take that advice so I could move on to where I needed to be. So you want to make sure that you do that. Also, failures and disappointments. There are going to be failures and disappointments in your business and your career, just like there are failures and disappointments in life. So it's all in how you take those failures and criticisms. With me, I started looking at those failures as lessons. What did I learn from this? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Maybe I'm in the wrong career altogether. Maybe I need to make a shift or pivot because my business is evolving and now I'm having to move into another area. So, I look at certain things, even disappointments, when you want things to work out the way you wanted them to work out and they did not, taking a hard look at that, finding out, number one, why didn't it work out? Was it even meant to work out? because same, certain things happen in my business that at first I was like, wow, this didn't happen. And I put all this in it. And then I found that it was time for me to shift. And so when I started looking, I'm like, all right, what's going on? This is not working. And I started taking a hard look at my business. I started taking a hard look at my clientele and who I was attracting. And I was like, are these people that I want to attract? And they were. And I was like, okay, well, my language doesn't speak to them. Let me redo my language to speak to them. Let me rebrand myself to speak to this audience. Let me make the changes that I need so that I can be productive and that I can be prosperous in this shift. Any company who makes a shift will grow if they make the right shift. If you look at Pepsi Cola, if you look at any other brand over the years, and you look at the company and you read their history about where they were when they first started, they're not where they were when they first started. They have grown. They brought on products. They evolved with the taste and the market. So yes, you have that main staple product that they're known for, but when you look at that drink company, they have drinks under all kinds of names, all other kinds of brands. They have food items and stuff like that. They have clothing options. You can get a shirt with their logo on it. There are all kinds of things that they do and that they have evolved to over time. So you want to make sure that, part of your resiliency is looking and making sure that you are on the right track and sticking to the overall goal and your overall mission, because your products might change, your services might change, but your overall mission and your overall values will not change if you have done it right. But also know that if you did not do it right, and maybe you have to redo that mission, take the time to do it and get the help that you need to get it done and get it done right. You want to build your team wisely. Ooh, this is something that I learned that was very valuable, both in my corporate career and also in business. If you build the wrong team, or you don't build a team wisely, any project that you do is doomed for failure. And I learned that. I learned that a big lesson in corporate, where I didn't actually build the team. I was actually put on the team, but the team was not built properly. So you had one or two strong people on the team, and you had some people who just did not want any parts of it, just didn't want to do it. So that project did not go as smoothly as it should have. And we wound up having to change team members at the end of the project. And so, because things weren't getting done. And so it took longer, it actually didn't cost more money because there was no more money to give, but it cost more time and effort. And then we had to wait until a budget was cut again for the next year to get done what we were supposed to get done in the prior year with new team members. So you don't want to waste time and money and effort. When I first started hiring team members onto my team, I selected someone who was actually really great in her field. She was great doing the job. I had known her for several years, over 20 years. And she was like, oh, I want to help you with your business and everything like that. And, she had an opening in her career. So I'm like, oh, come on, great, great, great. But the team was not built wisely, because I found that you cannot always hire friends or acquaintances or family, because they don't know how to handle you now being this boss. And so that's what it boiled down to. They could not handle that when they didn't want to do things, or things weren't done correctly. It's like, oh, come on, girl, no, I don't know. This is my business. And, I had to put that boss hat on, and I actually really had to wind up letting this person go. It hurt so bad, because this was someone who was close to me, and I did not want to have to do it. I spent probably more time than any other leader would have in a situation to try to get this person up to speed, because they were a close friend of mine. And so you want to make sure that you build your team wisely. So never be afraid also to bring people on. and move by your budget. When you bring people onto your team, they don't necessarily have to be employees. They can be contractors. And so there's trial and error with contractors as well. You have to make sure that you find someone who's a contractor for you that knows what they're doing. Sometimes I dealt with people who had years and years of experience, but their output wasn't as good as someone who may not have had as much experience, and vice versa. You might have went with someone who claimed they had experience, and then when you get the finished product and you start asking questions, you realize in your questioning after you get the end results that this person was not as seasoned in what they needed to do, and the end product and the end result was not what it needs to be. Again, that's sometimes trial and error, but as a business owner and even in corporate, you have to know when to ask for help. You need to know when you need to bring someone in so you don't burn yourself out, so you can have the resources that you need to do the things that need to be done. So be yourself. Always be yourself. I had to learn that early in my 20s. I have a book that's coming out that you can get called Why Not Me? And it discusses my insecurities in business, in life, in my corporate career, and how I overcame those insecurities to be the businesswoman that I am today. And one of those insecurities was myself. I was not confident in the woman that I was. And so any little thing someone said about me and my personality, now I'm changing who Katrina is to fit what this person said. And this, don't get me wrong, it wasn't necessarily coworkers. Sometimes it was a respected coworker, but sometimes it was management. And they were trying to get me to fit this certain mold and personality. And then I had a director come into the company who was a great mentor to me. And she said to me, she was like, Katrina, you need to be yourself. I can tell you're not being yourself. You're a carbon copy of this person and that person. You have a great personality. You have a great work ethic. You're never going to be as successful as you can be if you being someone else. She was like, you're the best you that you can be. You're an inadequate this person. And that is true. Be yourself. You're an inadequate Oprah. I'm going to tell you that now. Because only Oprah is Oprah. But be the best you. You're an inadequate, insert name here. But you are perfect as, insert this name here. And so be yourself. Be who you are. You're unlikely to be the first or the last. Your journey is your journey. And that is from Desiree Clark Noble. She is the director, head of brand and marketing at Royal Bank Canada. So that is the thing. You want to be who you are. And again, you won't likely finish first. You might not finish last in the race, but you'll finish because this is your journey. This is the road that you're on. Like when I say, with Career GPS, I can navigate you to where you're going, not to where I'm going, to where you're going. But in order to be navigated to where you're going, you have to know what your end destination is. When you go to the GPS on your phone, it asks starting address, ending address. Where are you starting? Where's your destination? Where do you want to go? You have to know where do you want to go in order to be guided to where you need to be. So ask yourself, what is the most important thing that you want to accomplish in your career? What is the most important thing that you want to accomplish this year? What is the most important thing that you want to accomplish this year in your business? This year in your business, in the next 10 years of your business? Find your focus. So the thing that people want most is your focus and attention. In your career and in your business, what is your focus? What are you giving your attention to? Who is your client? Who, and in corporate, when I worked in corporate, we had what was called internal and external clients. The internal clients were the other business areas that you worked with, your peers, and things like that. The external client was the customer who was purchasing the service, vendors, things like that. And so, what is your focus? Who are you speaking to? Whose attention are you trying to grab? And know why you're trying to grab their attention. Are you trying to grab their attention just because it's the hottest thing out there? Or are you trying to grab their attention because you're bringing something of quality and of excellence to them? And then in order to do that, you have to know what their needs are, you have to know what their wants are, and you need to know how to speak in their voice. Because you may get my attention at first, but if you are not speaking in my language, you're going to lose my focus and attention very quickly. And it's the same thing with business. If you are not speaking to your client appropriately in their language, in a way that they understand, you are going to lose their attention very quickly. So most people say multitasking. You see that in a lot of business postings. You'll see that in a lot of job postings, the ability to multitask. Here's the thing. I've always kind of been a multitasker, but I found that I get better results when I focus on one thing at a time and I get things done faster. Can I multitask? Yes. Have I multitasked? Yes. Will I multitask again? Probably. But I found that I get the best results when I am focused on what I'm doing. Like now, I'm focused on this video. I'm doing this video until I complete this video. I'm not focused on anything else but what we're discussing right now. So you can do it. You can multitask, but be strategic about what you're multitasking about. Project confidence in everything you do. This is important because if you don't have confidence, it shows in everything. It shows in your facial expressions, how you stand. Do you stand up straight? It's in your voice when you speak. This was one thing that Trina had to work on. There were a lot of things that Katrina was doing and that she wanted to do, and she stepped out of her box. And again, my handy dandy mentor said to me, she was like, you weren't too confident in that, were you? And I was like, no. And she was like, I can tell. And everybody else in the room can too. When you don't have confidence, it hits on your credibility where people do not think that you're the person or the expert that they're expecting. And guess what's going to happen again? You're going to lose people's focus. And you can very well be that expert. So you have to know in yourself, because my thing is, oh, well, people are not going to really want to hear what I have to say. You have to have the confidence to know that maybe everybody won't listen to you, but some people will, and there's someone out there waiting to hear what you have to say. There's someone out there that's waiting for your unique service. There's someone out there waiting for your unique product. There's someone in corporate waiting for your unique talent to come in, your unique ideas, because you never know. I've walked in a room. One time I was in somebody else's meeting, didn't know, I was a little early, and I was hearing what was going on in the meeting. I was like, oh no, such and such and such and such and such. They had spent so much time in there doing certain things. And in the end, I wound up on a project. And I told someone, I said, I'm not going in another meeting. If it's not my meeting, I'm going to check to make sure it's my meeting. Because I was like, I'm not picking up any more projects. But I ended up on a project because it was a voice that needed to be heard. And so that's what you need to know. You are a voice that needs to be heard. There's someone's waiting for you. Have that confidence. Know that someone is waiting for you. Same with here. Like, I'm speaking to you confidently because I know that there's someone out there waiting to hear what I have to say. And again, it may not reach everybody and it may not be for everybody, but it is for someone's. It is for somebody. So speak with confidence in all you do. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's one thing that differentiates a successful person from an unsuccessful person. And I paraphrase that because it was a quote by Claudia Palmer, Chief Business Officer and Chief Financial Officer at Reuters. I say, because her full quote is, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's the one thing that differentiates women from men. You can have some men that don't ask questions, but you do have men that ask questions. You can have women who ask questions, and you have women who don't. You have men who may be afraid to ask questions. I've dealt with men in corporate, and there were some I asked questions, and they would come and say, I'm glad you asked that question because I didn't want to be the one to ask that question. I wanted to ask that question, but I was afraid. So I can't necessarily say that every man out there is gung-ho to ask questions. But I will say any successful person will ask questions. Just make sure that you have an articulate, educated question. Make sure the question fits the situation. Make sure that when you are asking the question, that it is clear that the question was well thought out. So now that we have gone through those things, these are the list of the things that I feel that you can use in this year to help you get through your goals, to help get through what you need to do to start planning. Because my big thing is, and I've been guilty of myself being a planner, and then you're sitting there and nothing is being done. This is the year, 2020 is the year of action, putting action behind your plan and figuring out how to get there, because you can make a plan all day and not know how to take the steps to get there. So I'm helping you put those steps together so you can get to where you need to be. I thank you so much for joining me this evening, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of High Tea with Me. To be a guest on the show, contact us via email info@ventureready.net. Thank you again, and see you next week.